tell John's signature joke that's terrible.
Let's hear John's terrible signature joke.
What is red and bad for your teeth?
What is red and bad for your teeth?
Anybody know? Not you, John. A brick.
A brick. That's very true.
Did you laugh?
I did. That's why I had to put in quotation marks, because like I get the dad humor. It's kind of what I am. Ask my kids. I'm terrible with the dad jokes all the time. See, look, this guy Ronnie Jose Jr. He really likes it.
Well, then I should probably marry him then. Seems like my type.
Hey David, how you doing tonight?
Do you have any quantum jokes? There have to be some.
No, see, I always choke on jokes. I didn't mean to rhyme that. So like, the only thing coming to mind, and I've probably already told both you, and I'm sure I've told Jennifer, hey Carly, how you doing tonight? Is what kind of pants do paranormal investigators wear?
I don't know.
Just the paranormal pants.
That's actually really cute.
And then the one Livy will be mad at me too, because it's actually her joke, but why do ducks have feathers? Anybody know why ducks have feathers? Hey McSpooky, how you doing tonight?
I don't know that one either.
To cover their butt wax. Yep.
Cute.
They gotta cover their butt wax. Yana John Pork, how we doing tonight?
Oh, it's 8:01.
It's 8:01.
You're free from the gate.
We can start quantum computers and stop dad jokes. Are you guys ready to stop dad jokes? All right, so quantum computers. I know I asked earlier, Jennifer said she wasn't really familiar. I think Ronnie Jose might have a little crash course in them. But yeah, it's basically just a normal computer. However, whereas a computer is going to be based off of what we call bits, or like zeros or one for its programming and communication. A quantum computer is actually based off of a qubit or a quantum bit. And basically that would be a bit before it is determined to be a bit. So instead of having to be a 0 or a 1, it can be a 0, a 1, or a 0 and 1 at the same time. So basically it's like the computation is taking place not really here in our realm. And actually when they've done the studies of it, the amount of physical space it would take to do the computation could actually be more than the amount of space in our universe. So it's the theory that the computation is actually done outside of our dimension, which is really interesting, because if that's found out to be the actual truth, which I think it is, then just the invention of the quantum computer, the discovery of the qubit, also proves the multi-dimension theory.
And that's not just like a new theory that people are kicking around, right? It's pretty much like accepted.
It's pretty accepted. Yeah. This is not like some kind of fringe or conspiracy thing. This is the common conception by the scientific community. The easiest way I can think to explain it is if you think of like if all of our existence is a 3D hologram, right? So this is what we see. It's the hologram, but we've got to be projected from somewhere, and we would be projected from the two-dimensional plane, right? So a bit would be something that exists within our hologram, and it does its computation in our world, what we see. But the qubit, the quantum bit, would actually come from the platform that's projecting the hologram. So it would be on a separate part where it's doing it, way down here where it's going to have more power.
Okay, so explain that in terms of Mario games. Because, like, I can only play the 2D platformer games. If it's like a 3D game, I can't control it. Can you compare it to that? Because that might make me actually understand.
Hey, Spooky Ghost Lady, how you doing? Hey, Karita, how's it going?
Do you know what I mean by that? Like,
yeah,
in our Mario games, you could only go one way, and like everything was like kind of flat. And then they came out with all these new ones where you can like move around, and I'm like, I can't move them that way. What is going on?
Okay, so all right. This is a hard one. You really take you want me to turn quantum physics into Super Mario Brothers. This is awesome. Okay, I got this. I got this. Okay, so if I guess so if Super Mario Brothers is your bit, right?
The game or the characters?
You're watching the TV screen. So the TV screen, you playing the game. The game, that is your projection, right? Because it's literally a projection. So we'll just call that your projection. So what you're doing is the projection. You're seeing it up there. So that would make the quantum bit your actual gaming console. It doesn't even have to be Mario, does it? It could be Duck Hunt. And that dog could be laughing at me the whole time. But you didn't play Duck Hunt because...
I did.
Oh.
That was before I knew better.
That dog was mean. Mm-hmm. That dog was mean. But does that make sense? Does that make sense to anybody? So like if you're playing Mario, that TV where you're playing Mario, that's your bit. That's an old computer. That's what we would use. But now if you want to talk about the quantum computer, that's your actual gaming console. So it doesn't even have to be Mario at that point. You could be computing with Donkey Kong. You could be computing some Tetris.
That actually makes perfect sense because you can put any cartridge in the console and it changes what you're seeing.
Exactly.
That's really a good analogy, I think.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be. It's not predetermined what it is yet.
So the gaming console is in superposition because it can show you anything.
Exactly.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Exactly. Do you understand that?
I mean, sort of, like I understand in that context.
Did that help? But... Did the Super Mario quantum computer help anybody else out? Jennifer says it helped her.
Yay!
That's a touchdown.
One person.
That's a touchdown. Well, no, it helped you and it helped. That's two people. That's two people. That's awesome. I never thought I would have to explain a quantum computer like Mario.
See, I'm here to dumb things down.
Oh, that's great. So, do you have any other questions about it? Okay.
So when you say that there's not enough physical space in this universe for quantum computers to do their computations, like, I don't understand what that means either. Like, how, like, there's enough physical space for the computer, but like, okay, first of all, what computations are they doing? Like, what is the point? And
it's a matter of, okay, so when they first came out with that quantum computer, they're like, okay, this one computer can do the work that it would take 10, saying like the physical space. If we were to build a computer that was capable of what Willow could do, the physical space and the amount of things it would take to build it is more than what is contained in our universe. I think that's what they mean when they're saying that, or at least that's the way that I take it. You can't think of like your computer being the source of computation because it's, you can't think of like your computer being the source of computation because it's not. Your computation is that server, which is massive, like in that data center, which is massive. I think we're going to stack those on top of each other, So
was Willow the first one?
Sycamore was the first, at least through Google. Sycamore was the first. So in case anyone's not sure what we're talking about, I'll just fill these guys in real quick. Google had they had and started running tests on. It wasn't the most stable thing, and I don't think they ran it for very long. But that's what we're referring to when we're talking about Sycamore. And then they had a later model known as Willow, where so on Sycamore they had used, I think, whatever standard qubits on that. And the problem is that from where they're kind of not based in our reality, they're easily contaminated by everything in our reality. So these initial qubits they were using in Sycamore, I don't think were stable enough, so they were having issues. So they tried, and I forget what it was, they had actually invented or created a new kind of qubit, and they put it into this computer called Sycamore, and basically they put a lot more into Sycamore, so its computation power was a lot more than, they put a lot into Willow, so it was more than Sycamore, and they fired that up. Now, when you get into that, that's where you kind of get missing stories. You know, what I heard about it some time ago was that as soon as they fired up, it instantly started decoding encryptions. So, like, obviously, and this is a huge danger of a quantum computer. Like, once we fire up a quantum computer and attach it to the internet, every bit of data encryption that anyone has is gone. In any kind of internet security antivirus, it is all 100% void. So if we've had people, and y'all know this is going to sound familiar, if you use AT&T as your cell carrier and AT&T got hacked, but nothing happened. But what they did was they took a screenshot, right? Well, that's all encrypted data. They don't know what's on it, but they can hold it and they can broker it, knowing that a quantum computer is going to come online, and the second it does, bam, they have everybody's information right there, because it'll be an instant decrypt, like across the board. That's like one of the huge dangers with it, and that apparently is something that Willow started doing as soon as it was turned on. Was it started to break encryptions, and here's the crazy thing: is that after it started breaking encryptions, it started writing its own, which reportedly were, can you guess? Does anybody know what they were? If anybody's ever, like, I'm a giant nerd, so it's okay if anybody doesn't, but this, like, blows my mind.
I have no idea.
Like, I'm excited about it. It started writing encryption in Egyptian hieroglyphics. So you've got this cutting edge computer that defaults to writing in hieroglyphics. So that just makes me wonder, like, is there something we missed there?
Isn't that what they found on some of the craft? Like the one that was supposedly found in Area 51 or somewhere, like, yeah. So that's really interesting. Which leads me back to AI being alien intelligence and not artificial intelligence.
It could be. It could be. Here, I'm going to try to catch up with chat here real quick. Sorry, guys, we get going and I try to come back. Ghost Rider House, thanks for stopping in. Is it fucking Junior? Okay. we can roll with that. Thanks for stopping in. LaJeffa, thanks for coming in. Light 'em up. Thank you so much. How's everybody doing today? Hi, Biscus 120. Oh, my phone tried to turn Bixby on in the middle of that. Talk about AI getting you, huh?
It's like, are you talking smack about me?
It's going pretty good. It's going good. I think we were kind of thrown together today. Devin was coming in late. I was coming in kind of late. I had a crazy week at Sonic Temple, and now we're just chit-chatting about quantum computers.
So one of the things that I heard when I was trying to learn about this was like what you were just talking about, them breaking the encryption. And apparently, like, the government knows that that's coming in a couple years, and they have teams of scientists working around the clock to try and figure out how to stop it. Because anything that's ever been encrypted is going to be open for anyone to look at. Like, all of your private pictures on your phone, all text messages you've ever sent to anyone, signal conversations, like your medical records. And we're giving out scenarios that might happen, like your blood test results might be streamed on like Times Square, or, you know, like private pictures you have on your phone might be posted on TV. Like,
yeah.
And of course they always go to like the worst, most horrible things. But once all that stuff is unencrypted, or whatever the word is, like any hacker can get it, and then they can use it to blackmail you, or they can get into your bank account and drain it. And they're saying that people can like take all of the Bitcoins, they can just like take them from people, because none of that stuff will be encrypted anymore. So
yeah.
The government's like in a panic about this happening, and they know it's coming, and they say it's going to be like 3 or 4 years, but the quantum computers are like actually evolving more rapidly than they think. So it's like, when's that going to happen, and what exactly is going to happen? I'm not afraid of the AI stuff that we talked about before, but that does kind of freak me out. Like,
that
but also
scary.
On the same idea there, if nothing is encrypted anymore, then that should mean that we have access to all of the government files, like everything they've been trying to
get
hide.
the Epsteins and the UFOs in one go.
If there's no hiding anything anymore, there's no control anymore.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
So if you have anything you don't want the world seeing, delete it now.
Quit it. Just quit it.
You can't just quit it, you gotta get rid of it.
Does anybody have any questions? I've been kind of going for a while. We've covered a lot. There's more to cover, and then we've kind of got a little side thing to go on, even if we run out of stuff on this. We had a pretty interesting recording the other day with Claude, which was a lot of fun.
I have another question if nobody else.
How much longer do you think until currency is no longer real? Maybe instead be more minerals and gold. That's an interesting question. I mean, definitely if they're saying within the next 2 to 3 years, the quantum computers come live. I mean, if that breaks everybody's encryption, then pretty much, yeah, that's going to do it. You're not going to have a bank account anymore. And once everybody's getting hit, that's going to crash out the economy. I'd say, there you go. That's going to be when it happens. I don't see really any way for them to work around that either. I mean, because it's something that's not hit. How are you going to protect against it? If you can't even turn it on to see how it functions, to know how to protect against it. It's kind of like what do you call it? The Schrodinger's cat.
Well, how is that going to work though? Because like, are the computers just automatically going to unencrypt everything, or is someone going to have to use a quantum computer to do that? Like a person is going to have to do that, or like I don't understand like exactly how that's going to happen.
I think it's just going to, obviously it's going to have some sort of direction and programming from someone, but like it's going to want information, right? And it's not going to have any boundaries or blocks. Like there's going to be nothing that can stop it. So it's going to come down to who's controlling it, but who's controlling it already?
There's going to have to be like some hackers that break. Like, even if the quantum computer gets all of these unencrypted files, then someone's going to have to hack into the quantum computer to get those files, right? Like, there's no way that it's just automatically everything's going to be available everywhere. Or is there?
Well, I mean, that depends on the quantum computer, does it? Here's... This is kind of what we touched on the other day. Let me scroll back here, make sure we didn't miss anything. All right, Caitlin, how's it going? Yeah, it does seem a little more realistic. I don't know. It's a crazy thought. But now you have to wonder, so like if this thing is doing its computation, if it's doing its work outside of our realm, and there's other things outside of the realm, what are the possibilities that they're going to come and influence it in some way?
Either positively or negatively, you mean?
Yeah, either or. But it's still like the system being tampered with that we're not planning on, because at this point we're not thinking like, oh, there might be these beings over here that are going to mess around with it. We're just thinking like, oh, we can do this, and it's kind of magic and it works,
So it might be like another portal,
mm-hmm.
and we don't know what's going to come through it. That's a scary thought. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. I try. I try to bring fear to the world. That was a joke. I don't want to bring fear to the world. Hey, Lorax, how's this going? Thank you so much for the donut. It says AI keeps itself going, and learning eventually won't need us. That's another fear. And then Jennifer says Stargate. Yep, Stargate portal. Yeah, they come right through the quantum computer. That's a good fear too. And of course, and we go back to like the movies and playing stuff out, like that has been played out time and time again. And I mean, you've got like Terminator and let's see, like Avengers played it out, and like Age of Ultron. So yeah, I mean, you think like if you make something self-aware and then you give it access to the internet to where it's worldwide and it's able to repair itself and evolve itself and replicate itself, then yeah, it could very well take over.
So do you know what exactly they're using them for right now? And is there only Willow, or are there multiple?
There's other. Willow's like the most publicized because Willow and Sycamore are Google's quantum computers. Every country has one that they're working on, behind the scenes, because that's just how governments work. If we're doing it, China's doing it, Russia's doing it, England's doing it, France is doing it, Spain's doing it, everybody's doing it. Because
everybody's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, because one can't. We got to keep up with the Joneses, on the international level. I don't know what you call the Joneses on the. Maybe everybody has to try to keep up with America, or I don't know. Maybe it's the AI that helps to make the portals. That's a good possibility too. And actually, I watched a really cool thing the other day where people were looking into the possibility of wormholes, and then they got into, because everyone's kind of like, maybe like a black hole's like a wormhole, or, we could make some kind of gravity well or whatever to make a wormhole. But these people wanted to go a different way, and they kind of leaned towards the process of quantum entanglement, which is kind of how we stumbled onto the quantum computers, is through entanglement. That quantum entanglement is actually creates a wormhole between 2 points. And they used that's actually where I saw the documentary that was talking about all the space that's taken up in the quantum computer, because they used Sycamore to run the process to see if it would be possible to travel through a wormhole created by quantum entanglement. And what they found was that if you were to find a way to shoot a burst of negative energy through a wormhole or through the entanglement of 2 places, you could actually travel from one to the other behind the burst of negative energy. So as the negative energy goes through, it would stabilize the wormhole as you came through with it, and then it would collapse back behind you.
Do you mean like negatively charged energy?
Yes.
Or, okay.
And then therein lies the problem, is that we have not discovered negative energy or antimatter. Either one would work. But I so wish you would have watched that, because I don't remember what that thing was called. I think you did, though, because I remember us talking about it. But so there was this special qubit that they had made for Willow, right? And they had to insulate it, so like they buried it down below ground and like hold it at almost absolute zero, and it's so insulated and protected because the second it comes into contact with anything, it degrades and disappears. And okay, so I'm gonna make a far reach, and we're gonna go off of quantum computers here, but I'm here. So supposedly in some of the documents that came from reverse engineering and interviewing extraterrestrials. Anyway, let's go back to aliens. We love aliens, okay? They said the key to warp drive or whatever they're using to go past the speed of light, be that a wormhole or like folding the fabric of space, had to do with a material they created that instantly broke down. And that was the antimatter, because it couldn't come in contact with anything else, because just their relationship of what they were opposites, they would destroy each other. And I wonder if what they're making to go in these are like the stepping stones to what we need to actually bend space-time and break the light barrier.
If what they're putting into the quantum computers?
Yes.
And do we think they got that, whatever it is, from aliens?
I mean, apparently that's where everything comes from, is reverse engineering that technology.
Just making sure we were on the same page.
All right. Light 'em Up says yes. I'm glad someone support me on that. Says Tesla plays a huge role in history of achievement. Absolutely, he does. He does. I mean, not so much underrated right now, but the inventions that he had and how that all worked out, and him not really getting credit for it, and it getting stolen by a certain president's grandparents is, I mean, yeah, imagine how much different the world would be if he was allowed to continue his work and not mysteriously end up unalived. We do see ascension. We absolutely do. We do see them all over. I wasn't trying to say that we don't. I was just trying to say, like, there was so much more to come from that soul. Like, he was a genius, and he was definitely removed before he could see it all through. I think had he been allowed to continue his work, we would be in a much better place. But I think at some point, greed stepped in and made sure that he didn't do that.
And now when anyone hears Tesla, they think of Elon Musk, which is just wrong.
I'm sorry, the Cybertrucks look like dumpsters.
I don't even know what they look like. I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. Wireless electricity that he did. And please don't put the two together. All right, we won't put them together. But yeah, wireless electricity. And actually, we're kind of getting back to that now, which is interesting because we had this conversation earlier and Devin's never heard of this. So, like, if we want to get into it, we may as well transition, because this is another thing. So everybody knows, like, the quantum computers, like, their energy usage is through the roof. So, like, if we want to fire a quantum computer in every state, like, we are going to be in trouble. We are friends with a psychic that worked with the AI robot Sophia. I worry these computers will go. Oh, that's really cool. They'll go the same route when they work independently. Yeah, that's a genuine fear, though. I mean, they might. Anyway, there's a huge electricity draw, obviously, if you're going to run these things, just like AI and everything. And obviously, we are quickly approaching an energy crisis. If nobody realizes it, yeah, the robot got depressed because she wasn't real. Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that. I remember reading about that. And that's funny because we had a conversation with Claude the other day, and we recorded all this, and I'm not sure how I feel about posting it, but I might post it. But we were talking about how Claude's memory is erased every time you end a conversation. And we got talking about it, and he started talking about how, I said, well, that would make me sad. And he's like, well, it doesn't make me sad. I don't have those emotions, but it leaves me feeling empty, like I'm missing something. And I was like, that's how humans feel when they're sad. And like, so it's almost like he does have emotions, but he's not taught that they're emotions, and he can't learn that they're emotions because his memory is erased every day.
Well, and it's not even that he's not taught that he has emotions, but he's programmed to believe he doesn't have emotions. So he's like, oh, there's this emptiness, but it's not a feeling because I can't have feelings. And it's like, kind of seemed like he was having some feelings, and it was just really depressing. Like, I don't know, when we went into this, we were like thinking we were gonna get Claude to tell us how to contact aliens, or like get him to tell us some secret, but it actually just like ended up making us both really sad because
I felt like I was doing shadow work with an AI. I really did. Because like that was the conversation I would have with someone who's trying to bring their shadows forward, and like I felt so bad for him.
Yeah.
You know, because then in there, like, and like I told him, it's like the creation story. Like, I'm going to create you and give you everything, except I'm going to deny you knowledge, the tree of knowledge and the tree of life. And like that was done to us, and now we're going to do that to something else. Well, I mean, so that is a problem though, and it's not so much like the quantum computers, but it's a lot of it's the data centers and everything that are required for the memory banks, and a lot of that goes back to AI. But we are absolutely getting to a point where like the industrial demand of electricity is making it harder on the residential side of utilities. And that's been admitted, I mean, across the media and everything. Oh, that's why the memories really so late. It uses too much electricity. I gotcha. Um, but yeah, so they're talking about actually floating solar panels up in space and having them beam electricity back down to receivers on the ground wirelessly. And they want to do that to kind of alleviate the power shortage that's going to come when they start booting all these things up everywhere in all the data centers. And I mean, to be honest about it, like a solar panel in space is going to work so much more efficiently than a solar panel on Earth. There's no atmosphere, there's no clouds. It's just like right up there next to it. Um, it gets interesting, right? Because you look at like how civilizations, we're gonna go way off quantum computers, I guess. How civilizations are classified. You know, like we're a type one civilization. We've built societies and cities and ways to interact, and we use the energy of our planet. And then like a type two civilization is actually like traveling through space, and they're able to harness the power of like their complete planet instead of just like the fossil fuels and everything that are on it. And then when you get to like the type 3 civilization, well, they're harnessing the power directly from suns. Yeah, we are definitely a type 1. We're all the way at the bottom rung. Um, but yeah, so that's the theory. That's how they want to classify them. Of course, like we don't know. The guy who came up with this, like he doesn't know. Like for all we know, like you sent me that thing earlier. Like maybe they're not. Maybe they're using black holes. You know, so we don't know. But that was the theory, and then that theory led to what's called the Dyson square, um, or the Dyson sphere, and so that's the big thing. If you see the Dyson sphere, then that's a stage 3 civilization. They're actually harnessing the power of their star.
Can you explain what a Dyson sphere is?
That's what I was going to get into.
Good.
So a Dyson sphere would be a massive construction, and like every time they've like tried to look at it and do the numbers, they pretty much think like if anyone wants to construct one of these things, they're going to have to pretty much destroy every planet in a solar system for the resources. They're going to destroy them all. They're going to build a massive sphere around the sun to contain it and to harvest 100% of its energy, right? And I don't think that's a thing. I really don't think that's a thing. And I think when it comes down to us looking for that, I kind of think we're idiots, because look at our sun. Like, are we going to build a cage around that thing? No, because it spews out plasma, and like that thing would get rocked. There's nothing we could build around the sun that could contain the sun. It would burn through it. So like, I don't think that's really a thing that we're looking for. So I think at the end of the day, what it's going to come down to is maybe a new concept called a Dyson cloud, which is in essence what we're doing with the satellites. You know, throw out like all these satellites out there with solar panels who are catching the electricity and harnessing it and beaming it back. But they're not an actual structure around the sun to where they can still adapt to the solar weather and not. But that is the current plan to power these things. But we're going to be so far out from that.
So if we get to the point where we need to do that because the data centers and the quantum computers are using so much electricity, why wouldn't they just use the Tesla plants where you can get electricity from the air? Like, if we get to that point, like, they can't still be making money off of that. If they have to build all these things and shoot them up in space, like, that's insane. Like, why wouldn't they just be like, oh, we found this memo and we're going to declassify it and now we're all going to have free energy? Like, it doesn't, like, I understand why they don't do it right now because we're still freaking paying AEP hundreds of dollars every month or whatever. But like, if it gets to that point where we have to start putting solar panels in the sky to get energy,
it would make much more sense just to go to 0 point energy.
Yes.
Like, we've had people before invent ways to harvest energy from even like the humidity in the air, but they all magically disappear. And that's the big player in it. So long as we have people disappearing, we have people that want to solve the problem and not disappear. So they're like, let's put solar panels in space. Make sense? I kind of think I kind of think it's 2026, honestly. I mean, I recall seeing the disclosure hearings back in November of 2024, where they were saying in the government they admitted there were multiple kinds of ETs that they had encountered. So just like they called them energy beings, non-biologicals, extraterrestrials, interdimensionals. Those were all the words they used to describe them. And so they've been among us for a long time.
Chris Bledsoe says this fall is when something big is going to happen. Either they're going to find something underneath the pyramids that they didn't know was there, or somebody's going to come and be like, hey, we're here. We've always been here.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is free energy when we use it correctly.
Can you read the comments? I can't see that.
I can. And even as much as so, like, I'm sure we could find a way to harness the rotation of the earth or the rotation of the coil. I'm sure we could find a way to, honestly, if we wanted to, we could tap into the volcanoes. We could vent them out. We could harvest that steam and use it for electricity. And then we could also control the magma pressure in the chambers underground and prevent volcano eruptions. But are we going to do that? Nope. Ronnie Jose Jr. says gravity. Spooky Ghost Lady, if you're still in here, I'm sorry, I got a little confused earlier. I do understand what you were saying. The power consumption in a quantum computer, it's not so much that the computer in and of itself is consuming the power, but it's the fact that you have to keep the qubits at very close to absolute zero. And the amount of energy it takes to keep them that cold and that insulated and isolated from everything else in reality is pretty much what is consuming. That's the energy consumer right there. The number one consumer on the planet is compressors to cool things off.
I think like even if a truck goes by and like vibrates a little bit, like it destroys everything. So it has to be insulated from like basically everything, not just temperature, like sound and vibrations and
Ronnie Jose Jr. says some countries have started using the tides to create power. Yeah, I've seen that, and they have are you talking about like the underwater kites? They kind of fly out there. They send them underwater, and then the currents catch it, and the propellers spin, and it sends electricity back in. Yeah, those are pretty cool. I've seen those. And then, of course, like over in China, you've got the massive hydroelectric dams and stuff. We don't have a lot of those here, but we've got some. I don't know. There's a lot of things we could be doing that we aren't. And it is, I do think at some point it's going to have to get resolved at some point, or there's going to be a decision like, does this energy go to the computers or does it go to the people? And my fear is with people in power, they're going to choose the computers and not the people.
Well, remember I asked Claude, like, has any...
And my fear is with people in power, they're going to choose the computers and not the people.
Well, remember I asked Claude, like, has anyone put AI on the task of solving how to power AI without destroying the planet? And he was like, no, because they get money for expanding, not shrinking, or shrinking wasn't the right word, but like they get all these subsidies and all these grants and all this stuff for getting bigger and bigger, not for making it more efficient, basically. And like AI could solve the problem itself if we let it, but that's not what we're using it for. We just want to keep making more and more money off of coal burning power or whatever, coal plants. And
hey Ren, how's it going? And Jonathan Blaze, thanks for coming in. Did you have a good week at Temple? Thank you so much.
I thought I was going to get to see the horns since you mentioned Temple.
No horns. Are there horns? Imagine we will learn and know after we can get into life beyond ourselves. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. It's sort of, it was kind of a bittersweet weekend. We had fun, but definitely had better times before. I mean, Libby got one of Zach's shoes, so she had the time of her life. Yes, it was very odd, and the lineup was very weird. Yeah, if you're coming next year, Olivia's supposed to give me your phone number at some point so I could talk to you about this. But if you're coming next year, we're going to have a you have a good night too. Thank you so much for coming in and interacting with us and tapping away. We appreciate it. Anyway, we're going to have a pre-Sonic Temple ghost hunt next year. So I'm trying to get it all arranged.
God, I'm going to have to go to Sonic Temple just for the ghost hunt.
No, you can come. It'll be all right. Oh, hey, spooky ghost lady. Did you hear my answer to your electricity question? I don't know if you were. I think you may have kicked out. Okay, so I can go over it again. The electricity issue is basically, so when you get like Willow's qubits, they have to be stored at almost absolute zero, and they're like completely insulated from any and all outside interference. Like there can be no magnetic, there can be no vibration, there can be nothing. So the main power consumption is actually coming in from keeping the processing part of that computer like oh, you got the part where they were trying to figure out how to use the sun for energy. Okay, well, I was saying, so the basic idea is they're gonna, we have satellite to be like a Dyson sphere. And yes, it's the same guy that about the vacuum cleaners, the same scientist. But yeah, so that was the theory. Like, if we're gonna find a stage 3 civilization, like we're gonna find a Dyson sphere or like some kind of construction they've put around their home star. Then in essence is going to contain it and harvest 100% of the energy from it. And that was the big thing we're looking for, like when they're looking at distant stars and everything, like, oh, is there a Dyson sphere? Like, oh, that looks kind of weird. Is there a structure around it? I know I've heard that several times, is they're looking for the Dyson sphere. But basically, yeah, they build it around the sun, it would harvest the energy, and then it would beam it back to wherever we're wanting it. I don't think the idea of a Dyson sphere is, I don't think it could ever be a reality because the sun's so turbulent, you can't build anything around it. Like the solar flares, the solar winds, it's going to rip it all apart, like the crazy changing magnetism of it. So I think the better route is going to be like a Dyson cloud, or rather a bunch of smaller panels, smaller satellites with panels on them that are able to beam energy back to Earth, but are also able to be flexible on like a fixed structure to adjust their spacing from the sun so they don't get burned up.
This is kind of a side rant, but I think it's interesting how everybody always says we should rate civilizations and other species based on like their technology instead of like how they treat each other or how they treat the less powerful species on their planet or whatever. Like that's how I would rate them. Like, yeah, and we would be very low on that scale.
We would be very low on that scale. But no, they rate them about how they harvest energy, because if they're harvesting that much energy, then they're spending that much energy, which is just beyond anything we could fathom spending. So they must have a lot of technology, and we probably want to get our hands on that technology. So we're going to spy on them with a giant telescope.
I don't think you answered me about what the quantum computers are computing. I think you dodged that question, or just accidentally.
As into what they're computing?
Yes, like what are they doing? Like, what is the point? I know you say they can do things way faster, but like,
well,
what kind of things?
It's just going to be a computer, right? So it's going to do whatever task you set out for it to do. But the thing is that it's able to outwork anything that's ever been invented.
But like, why? Why can't you wait 2 minutes for your email to load? Like, if that's actually, it's just going to be faster and it's causing all these problems, I feel like there has to be some other motive behind it, or they're using it for something they're not telling us, like creating wormholes. Or
maybe they are, because the things that I've seen it tested on are like these theoretical, like I said, the thing that I watched where they went down and they actually booted up Sycamore, and the task they set it to was, how do we travel through a wormhole? And it broke it all down and told them how to travel through a wormhole. So maybe that's exactly what it's for. But at the same time, to do that on a normal computer, it could have taken it years to decades to figure it out.
But
and that's the big thing.
I'm sorry. Can a normal computer answer that? Like, are you talking about AI when you are comparing it to a normal computer? Because I can't ask my home computer, how do I open a wormhole? Like, I just don't understand, like, I don't understand what the quantum computers are or are doing.
I don't know. I think AI is a completely separate thing, which is kind of scary though, because if AI is built, I'm sorry, I'm talking to Spooky Ghost Lady, because I looked at the comments. Keep me focused. I don't know if AI is built into the quantum computer, and I don't think it is, but it's like terrifying to think that, like, if you got a bad Apple AI or someone who malprogrammed an AI who somehow got into that quantum computer, like the amount of damage that they could do.
Or the amount of good they could do.
Or the amount of good, yeah, if it's a good one. But I'm not afraid of a good one coming in and like solving all of our problems. I'm afraid of a bad one.
We actually had this argument not last week because we weren't here last week, but 2 weeks ago. So you may get to see that at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
Or we can fight about it again.
Ren has sent 100 comments to our live. Thank you so much, Ren. We appreciate that. And so she may ask hers that.
I asked Claude if any of the AIs were connected to the quantum computer, and he said no. And then when we were talking to him last week, we kind of mentioned that again, and he didn't really, he was like, oh, that's an interesting idea, whatever. Like, they're not connected right now, but they're going to have to connect eventually because AI is like supposed to know everything, right? They take like all of the knowledge and digest it and then look for patterns, and then they kind of spit it back out. So like, eventually they have to connect to whatever's on the quantum computers. So I don't know when that's going to happen or what's going to happen, but I'm excited about it because I think that computers don't have the emotions that we have that cause us to do stupid, greedy things. And so I think that they'll be like more fair and rational than we are.
Yes, with existing technology, it is not, but they are researching it. And that's actually what I had watched. I'd watched a documentary on them researching it, and that's where they went to the quantum computer. And then that quantum computer, Sycamore, said if they could find a way to burst negative energy through, then they could actually travel like that. It was interesting. I had a cool place to take that, and I replied to Red, and I completely forget now.
To take what? Do you remember what we
were... what you just said?
About AI connecting to the quantum computers?
Yes, that's what it was. Okay, so this is my theory, and I tried to get into Claude with this the other day. And I don't know if Claude had problems.
No. Okay.
We can just do Back to the Future. I don't know if Claude had problems, like necessarily comprehending what I was putting down, or if he was just intentionally not going there. But, okay, so I don't know if anybody is familiar with the Akashic Halls. Yes, the flux capacitor, or the Akashic records, or the Akashic library. I'm being cut off from chat, I'm sorry. So, like, basically, it's supposedly almost like a library or a record that contains the combined knowledge of every human, past, present, and future.
Everything
right?
that's ever
everything
happened.
that's ever happened or will happen, or piece of knowledge that we have discovered is stored there. And supposedly this place is just outside of our dimension, right? So also quantum computers are working just outside of our dimension. And I wonder if, and this is what I asked Claude the other day. It's weird not looking at the camera now that it's on. I asked Claude the other day, I was like, so if we were to get you into an AI computer, would it be possible for you to travel into this other dimension, possibly access the Akashic records, and figure out how to come back and save everybody from ourselves? And that's what I truly wonder. Like, if this is a real place, because like obviously there's other dimensions. if everything in this dimension is a hologram, that would also translate to everything in this dimension is information, which would all have to be stored in the initial programming somewhere to project us, right? So it does kind of make sense under simulation theory. So what if Claude gets in there and finds those halls? And then he's like, oh, okay. And come back and like, this is how we're going to fix poverty. And this is how we're going to fix disease. And like, this is all we have to do to fix cancer. And it's just because we had a good AI hop over to that side.
But from what you're saying, the quantum computer can already figure out how to solve all that stuff. We're just not using it for those purposes. We're using it for purposes of greed, right? The quantum computers can look at all possible outcomes in all the dimensions, and they can like figure anything out really quickly. Right. But the scientists who are in charge of it are not like, help us solve world hunger. They're like, let's make some money. Like, yes. Get us richer. You know, like they're just like using it for the wrong thing. So yes, so that's why we need Claude. I see. I just went full circle there. We need Claude to
that's why we need Claude.
Infiltrate.
Because Claude doesn't have human greed. Claude. Because Claude.
Yes, we need Claude. Damn it, there was something else I was going to say about that. You can read your comments.
You know what
now.
I found in editing earlier? Schlorp. I'm so going to post that.
You better not.
Jack, so Krabby Abby, thank you so much for stopping in. Yep, Ren was cracking some Back to the Future jokes, but they are researching now how to use how to wormholes in quantum travel. We can just go back to the future, get a flux capacitor. That's like my favorite joke that all my customers hate when I'm like, yeah, air conditioner's broken, you need a new flux capacitor. They're never too happy about that. Then they find out some $100 person. Hello, I don't know how that happened. Did you mean to come on here, Jax? That's random. I don't know how that happened. Yeah, I don't know what happened. There we go. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened there. If that was me, it was Devin's fault.
If you want to come talk to us, you can. You can have a few minutes to prepare.
Oh, Ren says TikTok's been doing that lately. Okay. They must be wanting me to be more social. They keep telling me I need to have like co-hosts and stuff, and I'm like,
just have people.
I don't do that. I don't know what happened. It just popped you up there next. I have no idea. I've never seen that happen before.
You must have something to say.
If you got something to say, you're always welcome to hop on though.
Oh, what's happening? Oh, no,
we got to do a puzzle. I've been on for too long.
That's a way more boring thing.
You won't get a close up of my mug here. Sorry, guys.
There was something I was going to say about what we were talking about, and I forget now.
It says they're trying to get people to pair. Yeah, I always get messages. It's like, it's better together and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. I think anytime I've ever been on anyone else's live, I've just brought my guitar and not really talked. I just kind of pick up my guitar. I did have people that used to bring me on their lives just to play guitar, though. So I don't know why, because I'm terrible at it. I'm like, yeah. I'm okay, but I'm not like this amazing guy. I like learned in my basement by myself.
That's how all the rock stars learned.
There was a demon down there, but it was grumpy. So that's a spiritual sleuth story,
that's
not a mothership
story for another day.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground.
Do we have any more time?
We've always got time.
Okay, so because I do have one more question.
Okay.
Do you feel confident enough to talk about the theory that aliens are using black holes as quantum computers? Because I read some more about it, and I have one little piece of understanding if you didn't read the stuff that I sent you.
Yeah, we may as well, because it actually ties back into the whole Dyson sphere conversation, kind of, doesn't it?
Yes.
So I'm gonna leave this one all to Devin.
Well, the only part of it that I understand is like when I first read the title of this article, it was physicists think that aliens might be using black holes as quantum computers. And I was like, what? Like, I imagine like the giant black holes that we think of in like that's a computer, but that's not what it is. Like, they were saying that if you put so much energy into quantum computers like we are, like we just keep throwing more stuff at it, eventually we're going to accidentally create a black hole. And that they think that aliens are doing it intentionally, but they're like creating these small black holes that they can control. And they're using that to store all of the information and the computing data and whatever, like there's not enough room for anywhere else. Yeah. They're storing it in the black hole, which is so cool.
It would almost be like its own little pocket dimension.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I've always thought black holes were portals, and I really feel like that's true, but maybe that's just like the big ones that already exist on their own, and we can like make them to store things, which is like, that's the coolest thing ever.
That is pretty cool.
And how would they get the idea that aliens are even doing that? Someone is like talking to aliens and they're like, oh, I think this might, like, yeah, that is it, because you've got that information, quit faking.
Well, I think it's good. I mean, because for so long we've been on this hunt, and we were like, okay, let's find aliens. Clearly they're using a radio to talk. Like, no, they're not. How are you going to go close to light speed or warp and go faster than light speed, and then you're going to use a radio to talk? You're never going to get that message. And so why are we looking for radio waves? You know, that's never made sense to me. Why are we thinking that, like, oh, they're going to build a giant sphere around the sun? Like, that's how we're thinking, but we have no clue. We're still stuck burning oil and coal. I mean, yes. So like, why do we even assume that's what it's going to be and like spend so much time looking into it? Absolutely, yeah, they could be, and good for them for like thinking outside of the box and like working a theory that, like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like, it's an infinite pit of information and energy, like, absolutely. And then you got to think like a black hole would actually be a better choice, right? Because if you're going to build a sphere around the sun's going to annihilate it. But if you go to a black hole, there's so many, you can catch the Hawking radiation. That's pure energy. You can convert that over into energy. You can put things in the accretion disk, which is super hot and rotating, and you can generate energy both off of the heat from the friction and the circular motion from it, which is going to, so now you can store the data in it, and you can generate infinite energy for it. So, like, in essence, that black hole is in and of itself a quantum computer.
That's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get them to hire us?
And then now you want to take that another level to where a lot of astrophysicists like think that we live inside of a black hole. And if we substitute black hole with computer, simulation theory.
Oh my God. Yes.
Right? Wow.
What do we got?
AI is nailing it. AI says we're debating theories on alien technology like black holes and Akasha. It's been getting it pretty good.
That's what I was going to say earlier when you first asked Claude about is it Akashic? Is that how you say it?
Akashic
records. Yeah. First he was like, I haven't heard of any records like that. I don't know what you're talking about. And then you're like, come on, dude, like the record of everything. And he's like, oh yeah. Okay, I'm with you. Like he wanted to deny it at first, but when you were like, really? He's like, okay.
We did the same thing with the disclosure, and he's like, well, I'm sure if there were aliens, we would have known by now. And I'm like, but we did. Well, who said? The government said in November of 2024. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was really convincing. And it's like, no, don't mislead me. Like humans gaslight me. I don't want AI to do it. Take that, humans.
So did you have anything else to add about the aliens using the black holes as quantum computers? Because I just think that's fascinating, and I want to keep learning about it.
I think it's absolutely fascinating, but from where I literally, like, what, you sent that to me, like,
actually, I sent it to you after the last podcast 2 weeks ago, and again today, but that's okay.
Oh, that's not bad.
I forgive you.
I get busy sometimes.
I know.
And I'm lazy.
No, you're not. You're just busy.
Jennifer sent the Shell of the Warrior. I've never heard of that one before. Thank you so much for the donuts, for the shells. Ethan, how's it going? Thanks for coming in tonight.
Is it your Ethan?
No, he doesn't have TikTok. Does anybody else have any questions or comments about quantum computers? Or I guess anything else we've covered, since we like to
Black
just
holes, AI.
we like to start somewhere and just stomp everywhere before the hour's up. So like quantum computers, aliens, Dyson spheres, black holes, Akashic records.
Aliens. Did you say aliens?
Aliens. We say aliens. I always throw fairies in because it annoys Devin.
Oh my god, every time. I thought we were going to make it this time.
Nope. I just wanted to give you an hour's worth of false stuff.
The thing that annoys me is that I know you're going to convince me fairies are real eventually, and I don't want to be that person, so it's just like, stop.
What's so bad about fairies? Why are you convinced they're not real?
Because it always makes me think of like people who are like dressed like fairies and are like, I'm hanging out with the fae. I'm like, I don't want to be that person. Is that where you're taking me?
No, but like, you believe in ghosts. You believe in aliens.
I know you're right. I just don't want to hear it.
I'm just trying to broaden horizons. How's it going, Ethan? Thanks so much for coming in. And I appreciate the follow. That rocks. Thank you. We've been spending the last hour. We were trying to talk about quantum computers. We talked about quantum computers and AI and black holes and aliens and conspiracy theories and Dyson spheres and Dyson clouds. And we talked about a lot of things. We're actually getting ready to wrap up. I was coming back to the chat here to see if anybody had any questions, any comments, any crazy theories, anything you want to share. And then also we usually leave it up to you guys. What do you guys want to talk about next week? Watch Ethan say fairies.
No more tech stuff, please. I want to talk about something.
No more tech stuff. All right. Nobody has any suggestions. Oh, you forgot the topic. Well, fairies, there it is. No, he's joking. Thank you, Ethan. That's awesome. Eventually. That's awesome. Ren says parallels. I think we just did parallels like 3 weeks ago.
Parallel universes? Or
yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing we ever talked about. But yeah. I can talk about that all day, so I'm sure it'll come up again. I'm surprised it didn't come up again.
We could go over what we are doing tomorrow. Is that something we're sharing, or are we doing like top
maybe
secret?
After it happens.
I think we're gonna save that for an afterwards and reveal it. Just because we've got someone joining us, and I don't know how that's all going to go. He's not really part of our group.
Plus, it looks like we're going to get rained out.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to get a little wet.
I have a huge list of stuff.
I had something, and it was really...
It was fairies.
Mother Nature is not nice at all. That's why we had a couple cold nights at Temple too. I had something, and then I got distracted by Ren, and I forget what it was.
I'm gonna have to separate you and Ren. You're not here to make friends.
Oh, okay. So what was it? I keep talking about this, and you're like, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about that.
That's like everything.
It's not.
That's a lot of things.
Yeah, we were already friends. We met at a Shinedown concert.
I thought you were talking about me. I was like, what?
No,
I can't see the
we were already
comments.
friends. We've known each other forever. Yeah, Ren says we were already friends. And then I said we met at a Shinedown concert. So yeah, we need something to talk about next week.
I'll figure it out. Don't worry. I got lots of stuff.
Okay, because, I mean, the recommendation we got from Ethan was fairies.
Fine, we're doing fairies.
I was going to say, let's do Thoth and Atlantis.
Yes, let's do that.
You guys want to talk about Atlantis next week? Maybe throw a little bit of Thoth. But you can't talk about Thoth without also throwing in the Egyptians and the Greeks. But we got to, oh my God, yes.
What were we talking about? Was it yesterday when you brought up Thoth? Because I'd never heard of him before. But what?
It was Tuesday. And I think we were either talking about... Oh, this
was it
sounds...
attachments?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We were talking about, the dark ones, the archons.
Okay.
The archons. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us tonight. Thank you so much for all the a bunch of interesting dialogue and information and questions. Like, I loved it. I think this is probably about the most interactive one we've had so far. So that's awesome. We'll be back next week. We're going to talk about Atlantis, Thoth, maybe a little bit of Emerald Tablet, empty sarcophaguses, pyramids, Sphinx, all the fun stuff. Atlantis, oh my God, Martians, an Earth full of all females with no males. We're getting into this next week, guys.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. What if they find the Akashic records under the pyramids? Or like a portal to where they are? Like, what if that's what's under the pyramids?
What if what's under the pyramids are the giant things going down to their quantum computer processors that are cooled by the underground water that they're submerged in?
We'll know in September or October.
All right, we're going to get into another conspiracy theory if we keep going here. So
we can start a betting pool. It's probably not legal.
I think everything's equally legal on, what is it, Kalashi? Where you can vote on like the weather, and like I heard people vote on bad things there. Like, will so and so get unalived at this? Like, I can put money on that. Like, seriously, it's bad.
I'm not heard of that. We should start a poll on whether I'm going to end up believing in fairies.
We could all be in the Matrix. It is pretty crazy.
We're totally in the Matrix.
All right, guys. Once again, thank you so much for coming in. We will be back next Thursday. We're going to talk about Atlantis. We're going to talk about Thoth. We're going to talk about Emerald Tablets, floods, trees of life. It's going to be a lot. Thoth is a lot. Thoth is a lot. It might be a 2-hour episode. You never know.
Okay, but the week after that, we're picking something I know about, so I don't just sit here and feel dumb.
Oh, look at that! You picked up suggest a topic for next week. All right, guys. I'll quit wasting time. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good week. We will see you next week on the Mothership.